All right. We are live and direct, live and in full effect. Yo, it's Uncle Pops with the raw truth for the youth and definitely you grown folks. Hashtag DBWT. Don't be wasted talent. What is today? Today is Monday. It's Monday. And you know what we do on Mondays? Mondays, we drop a message. It's Monday's message for Monday. So, and just staying consistent with it so we can, make sure that our Mondays are constantly filled with motivation and those magical factors that keep us going. We always want to make sure we add to it. So you've probably had, something earlier this morning, earlier this afternoon, and, this and that. So, let's just add to it. Let's just put one more element in there. We're building ourselves to become greater and better, right? We're building our lives. We're building everything around us. We're creating our narratives, our new narratives. We're rewriting chapters, or we're continuing to write, the chapters and the books of our lives, right? Because a year, 12 months, right? Say 12 chapters. 365 days, that's 365 pages worth of reading. So being consistent and adding to it, you can never go wrong with adding another episode or adding something else to what you already got earlier this morning, with your meditations or, your spiritual readings and studies and things like that, or whatever you did, earlier this evening, just adding some hashtag DBWT to it. Don't be wasted talent. So the message for Monday, let's get us a nice little message going. And this is something that came to me while I was on a Zoom with my student athletes, and we're working on right now with their mentoring class that I run with them on the weekends. Is starting off with the foundation, and the foundation is developing a winning mindset, right? And this ain't nothing new. Many of y'all have heard, a lot of people talk about winning mindset and this and that, and, but, it's nothing really that different, and then, part of that winning mindset, is, dealing with a subject that many of us, don't really know that we need to deal with, or don't realize that it is a subject or some type of issue, that's affecting our lives. And that's the subject of excuses, right? We just, we know that they're there. We know that we make excuses, and we know that when you compile too many explanations, they begin to appear and seem like, excuses, right? So excuses, is also connected with, one of the biggest killers and hindrances. Hey, Buddy Bird, my precious daughter, I love your new hairdo. I love that new style and look. That color that's it. Yeah. My daughter, man, she a very beautiful young lady. I make some pretty kids. Well, I'm just letting y'all know. No, I'm just but anyway, man, it's, excuses are connected to, the biggest killer of our success and the biggest killer of our lives and things like, it's called procrastination, right? So in the classes, that we do, the mentoring classes and the work that I do with my student athletes on the weekends, because, football is one thing, and playing sports, that's one thing. But, when you're coaching young men and young women, the importance of it is not so much that they make it to, a level of what I call playing professional recess, but making it to a level to where they are a contributing citizen. They're living a life of purpose. They're living a life of means, right? They have a foundation that they are established firmly upon and can build and grow and do whatever their hearts desire, whatever they could dream of, whatever they can imagine, right? That's one of the important things about coaching. It's not so much that, I want you to be, successful at, running, jumping, catching, stepping, and fetching. But, I want you to be successful as a person, as a contributing citizen. I want you to be able to provide for yourself and your family. I want you to be able to make a living, right? I want you to be able to think, solve problems, right? Be a part of a solution and not a problem, right? So in dealing with excuses, one of the things that came to me while we were doing our class was that bad men excuse their faults, but great men abandon them. So hashtag DBWT, don't be wasting talent, right? Testament of becoming. It's Uncle Pops with the raw truth for the youth, and it's Monday, and Monday's message: bad men excuse their faults. Great men abandon them. Now that can take on, different meanings, it can go, broken down in different ways, but this is how we're going to look at it right now. Many times when we excuse things, it's, just reflect on when you walk past somebody and you accidentally bump them or brush up against them or something like that. And excuse me. I apologize. Excuse me. Right. You allow things. Hey, lovely Lisa, what's happening? When you say, excuse me, you're allowing something, right, to pass, right? When you say, excuse me, you're accepting something, right? So, hashtag DBWT, don't be wasting talent. Bad men excuse their faults and great men abandon them. So excusing your faults, and it's just, we using men, for the content for right now, but this is for anybody. When you excuse your faults, you're more likely to accept them or to allow them to stick. You're allowing them to stay. You see what I'm saying? Because you're excusing them. You're making an excuse for them to be around, right? So when you excuse your faults, you're not doing anything to extract that from your disposition. You're not doing anything to change that about your behavior. You're not doing anything to, rectify, right? Or mitigate, something different, right? You're excusing it. You're making an exception for it as if this is really who you are, right? So when bad men, and let's say people, when bad people excuse their faults, they're letting you know that they're stubborn against change and they're really not trying to do anything. They're not really trying to grow, right? They're not trying to become the best version of themselves. They're not trying to live a narrative that they create. They've accepted whatever was just thrown out there for them, or accepted whatever they were thrown into, right? So that's the bad part, right? And we're not gonna say, and when you say bad men or bad people, don't take that out of context. Bad could just, hey, that's just a bad habit, right? Which is also part of excuses, right? Making excuses can be a bad habit. It can become a habit. Because now, when you make excuses and you're consistently doing it, right? That becomes habitual to the point that where you're that type of person that you allow yourself to be a doormat. You're letting yourself be run all over, taken advantage of, being abused and misused, mistreated, misunderstood, misguided. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if that makes sense, because everything that we say, we have to mimic. That's one of the things that me and, many of my closest best friends, and I call them that for a specific reason. And because these are really my brothers. These are my brothers. My man Thurston, wonderful business brother I have, man, Malik, Mason, these tight brothers, Trevor, Dr. Terry Carter, my man, you know what I'm saying? They one of the things that we talk about, especially my man Trevor, and Daniel, D Dunk, my battle buddy, we talk about you got to mim it, right? When you say something, right? You got to mims it. Make it make sense. You got to make it make sense, right? And you are definitely true, Lisa. Our words, when we speak those things, it becomes really what we are, just like you said, as many people know the quote, and Malcolm used it. I'm a serious student of Malcolm, and he's used it, many times, that our thoughts, right, become our words, and our words become our feelings and emotions, and feelings and emotions become actions, and our actions become what? Become our destiny. It becomes what we create, right? And then when we look at many different writings and poems and scriptures and ayats and scrolls from different indigenous writings and things like that, a lot of it talks about the power of the tongue and speaking words, right? And things that you say, you speak these into existence, so a lot of the times that you say these things or you make excuses, right? When you make these excuses, you're creating something of yourself that isn't true. And like I said, when it becomes habit, when it becomes habitual, you're creating your disposition and your character of tolerance, right? Of things that you should be intolerant of, right? Being mistreated, being misguided, being abused, being lied, no matter what it is, right? Because bad men excuse their faults. Hashtag DBWT, don't be wasted talent. Great men of greatness, men of purpose, men of means, right? They abandon their faults. Why? Because those faults are not who they are. Those faults are just, they're moments, right? They're many of them, the faults that we have are moments from lessons that we've learned, right? Many of the faults that we have are just things to show, our vulnerability. And also, many of those faults also show the things that we need to get stronger at, the things that we need to be better at, the things that we need to become more consistent instead of being complacent, right? So abandoning the faults also allows you not to excuse them, because excusing your faults allows them to do what? Like we said, we allow them to stick. We give them a place to roost, right? We allow excuses to fester. We allow that type of behavior and mentality and thinking to grow roots, right? So when we abandon our faults, we abandon the negativity. We abandon the shit that's been talked about us. We abandon the shit that's been thrown on us by folks. We abandon the shade that, people have put, laid over us. And I'm not talking about shade, to cover, but I'm talking about that shade with that sly, slick talk, and that backbiting and all of that, right? And a lot of these faults that we abandon, we allow ourselves to grow and to overcome. Because many times when we excuse these faults, we prevent ourselves from growing. We prevent ourselves from overcoming. We prevent ourselves from evolving. We prevent a revolution within ourselves that is supposed to take place, right? That is supposed to get us to a higher state of mind, to a higher state of being, right? So hashtag DBWT, don't be wasted talent, testament of becoming. Bad men excuse their faults. Great men abandon their faults. Abandon your faults. Why? Because you need to allow yourself to let go of everything that's holding you back and tethering you to insignificant shit. Abandon your faults. Meaning deal with your insecurities. Deal with the things that bother you, that affect you. Change the things that need to be changed in order for you to be a better person. And not just a better person because, someone's saying it, or, because that just seems to be the new social norm or part of social engineering and shit like that. No, become the better person because you owe it to yourself. You were created and placed here by the divine universe. So if you were given a precious gift of life, why not give back something of that precious gift and live a life full of purpose. Live a purposeful life. Live a meaningful life. You're either part of a problem or you're part of the solution. What's your contribution? You abandon your faults. You become that person. You become that great woman. You become that great man. Right? You become that. But how do you do it? As you know, like I said, I really attest to things that we talk about and everybody's throwing out there. Hey, do this, you could do that, and da-da-da-da. But no one tells us how. No one gets really into the how. Or you could be successful. You could live your dreams. You could come on and do this, and you could, but no one let's get into the how. Let's get into the how. Right? Hashtag DBWT. Don't be wasting talent. Uncle Pops with the raw truth for the youth and definitely you grown folks. The getting to the how. It takes sacrifice for one, but you got to understand what sacrifice is, and you have to understand what to sacrifice. Right? Getting to the how also means, investing in yourself and building yourself and growing and things like that, right? Getting to the how. Right? But for this subject, for this message on Monday, right? Let's get to the how, and it's just something brief. Video paused. All right, so I'm not going to elaborate or get too much into it, but this message, hashtag DBWT, that bad men excuse their faults and great men abandon them. So if you want to get to the how do I become better? How do I live and elevate myself in the lifestyle and the movement of hashtag DBWT, don't be wasted talent? One of the things that is mandatory that you must do, right, is hold yourself to a much higher standard than anyone expects you. And never excuse yourself. Hold yourself to a much higher standard than anyone expects you to, and never excuse yourself. There's even a how to that. How do you hold yourself up to a higher standard? Well, you got to understand what standards are. You have to understand yourself. This is all, and a lot of everything that I say, we always gonna go back to that ancient saying that's older than 10,000 years, because it's engraved in stone, in temples. Man, know thyself. Man, know thyself. So in order to really understand how to hold yourself to a higher standard, you got to understand what your standards are, first of all, and then understand what a higher standard actually is, right? That's part of the how. And then there's a how to even elevate your standards, right? There's a how to get to it, and one of these days, if you want to, we can actually get into it. And I'm definitely willing to work with anybody on the how, and the Patreon is up. It is active. I'm putting more uploading content, on there pretty soon, and then gonna, make sure it's published. So when you want to get into the how, or get deeper into some of these things that we talk about on here, hashtag DBWT, don't be wasting talent. Go ahead and let's hit the Patreon. Let's hit the Patreon and let's really get into it, right? Because one of the things that we touched on a previous message, that you are a uncut gemstone, priceless. There's no real true value you could place on it, right? But to become of such high demand, you have to cut and polish with knowledge, right? Skill and service, right? And we had that on one before, right? And that's part of it, right? Getting that understanding and that education. So hashtag DBWT, don't be wasting talent. Yo, my main man Malik, man, love you, man. I definitely was checking out your videos, and it looked like you put up some more on your IG. I didn't get to all of them, but I'm gonna check them out anyway, man, because I love what you was talking about today. I definitely do. But hashtag DBWT. It's Monday. The message for Monday is bad men excuse their faults while great men abandon their faults. Yo, it's Uncle Pops with the raw truth for the youth and definitely you grown folks. I want y'all to stay focused, follow on course until success, and understand the win, what's important now. Stay up, stay strong, and stay blessed. Keep your head on a swivel. Don't think like a 2-minute clock, so you got to catch the fuck up. It's Uncle Pops with the raw truth for the youth and definitely you grown folks. I love y'all. Peace.